Hello. I hope you all are having a great day. This is my beautiful wife, Adinah Johnson. I am Nik Johnson, and we are here with another series. Our goal and our desire of this channel is to equip you, to empower you to have the relationships that you all desire to have, and we are here rooting and supporting you in those efforts. Today, we're going to talk about predictions of marital distress.
Yeah.
Okay, what things happen? There are actually signs that have been identified through research that if you're doing these things in your relationship, if you're not currently distressed in it, you will eventually end up being distressed. And we don't want that to happen. So we want to make you all aware of those things. So this is part of a 4-part series. We're going to discuss what marital distress is and those characteristics and those signs around it. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Adinah, and she's going to go ahead and take us on this journey.
Well, I think you have to, first of all, acknowledge what distress is. And there's a couple of different definitions, but when we talk about distress, we notice, like, say, for instance, it's the latest thing to buy distressed jeans.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's like something that's already used.
Yeah.
Or worn.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want your relationship or your marriage to be worn, because oftentimes when that happens, they get worn out to the point that divorce is inevitable.
Right.
And so you want to avoid that. So part of marital distress, or understanding that there is marital distress, is first acknowledging many times it's just a feeling. Or also it's where you just feel like you can't go to your partner with something, or you feel like now you have to have secrets or not tell, your partner something. And that affects the intimacy that you would have in your marriage and relationship. So usually the distress comes once you recognize that you have some unmet expectations or some feelings that are, and many times, tense. The tension, you can cut it with a knife. And so that gets very difficult, and individuals usually go to closing the relationship or ending the relationship, separating, split up, divorce, so on and so forth.
When I think of distress, I think about anything. Well, I think about the word stress.
Yeah.
And as stress as individuals, how stress is not good for us. Stress, usually, they say stress eats you from the inside out.
Yeah.
And usually by the time you see stress in a relationship, or just like a person, that person's been dealing with stress for a while.
Yeah.
Then your body starts to react to, whether it is anxiety, or whether it could be just indigestion, anything, headaches, migraines, all kinds of those things that come out of that stress, elevated blood pressure, ulcers, all that stuff. But when your relationships, when you have that stress going on inside of it, by the time it starts to show itself, it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
It's been those little things that have been kind of building up on the inside of your relationship over and over again, until it gets to the point where you start to experience that distress, where it starts to be worn, and it's just not a pleasurable situation anymore.
Right.
And so the thing is that we want to be able to empower you all to know that, these things here that we're doing is going to distress my marriage. Because if you think about it, relationships and marriage, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to be mindful of what you're doing, because you don't want to wear it. You want it to age like cheese or fine wine. Because the longer it goes, the better it becomes. So that's really what you want to have.
Yeah. And also predictors of marital distress, or this can also be called predictors of divorce. These are things that oftentimes, if you have these in your marriage and your relationship, you will head toward divorce, and that's unfortunate. And this is based on research. We don't come on our channel and just talk out of the side of our neck. We always have research to back us up. So the first one is escalation. I want to talk about that one, and that's escalation. And is that when your partner negatively responds back and forth to each other continuously. That is escalation. When you escalate something, or your partner can't really say anything to you without you escalating it and taking it to the next level, or just little simple things. And people do that all the time. Say, for instance, if somebody said, "Oh, you look nice today," so I didn't look nice yesterday. So it's like you escalate it, or you say constantly saying something mean or nasty to that person. And that's unfortunate because you don't necessarily want to do that where you escalate it or take it one up, and it's always a tit for tat.
Yeah, it's that one up. As far as escalation, it hinders you in that you're constantly trying to. You make almost the escalation, especially when you're doing that kind of tick for tat and that one-upsmanship. You're in a competition with your spouse because they're doing something. Then you're like, you know what? I might have did this, but this is what you did.
Right.
So let's not start going down the laundry list of things that you've done.
Yeah.
And we constantly say, well, you stayed out last week. Well, you stayed out last week for 2 days. I couldn't, just constantly over and over again. And if it's not the case, sometimes in that escalation in your head, you kind of feel like someone did something to hurt you. So you want to do something that's even more hurtful to them. You want to escalate it. So, I try to call you and your phone's off. Guess what? I'm going to cut my phone off, and I'm not even going to let you know where I am. So just all kinds of things like that. So that's really
playing games. That is not good in a relationship, and that causes your spouse not to trust you. That creates distrust and hurt feelings when you escalate something, when you take it up, and it's never okay because you're going to take it further, and then it's going to be to the place where it's just too far. And many people can't come back from that, and then it causes individuals to lose dignity and respect, and that's never good in a relationship and a marriage, to not have dignity and respect for your partner.
As far as escalation and always kind of up in the ante, would that also fall into the line of things like saying whenever you're in a disagreement with someone, saying things like "you always
and never"? I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, so escalation does fall into that as well. As far as if I say that you do something, like, well, you never do that, or you always do this. So you're kind of escalating it because we may have said this before. If not, this won't be the first time. Was that typically somebody never always does something. Right. Typically never does something. Now there are certain situations where you say I'll always love you. We definitely that's definitely a legitimate use of always, or I'll never stop fighting for our relationship.
Right.
You definitely want that, but in the context of having disagreements and trying to prove points and things like that, it's just not beneficial at all.
Yeah, those are trigger words, always and never, because it's not correct. I mean, just like saying, well, you're always late. Always?
Ain't not one time?
Right, and never been on time? Not once?
Yeah.
It's like, what about the time I was in the car? So, and that creates escalation because now you're thinking about something and you're trying to prove your point or make that person wrong. Or you never remember my birthday. Well, no, I remembered it, 1967. I remembered it that one time. So it's not, never.
Yeah, granted those, many moons ago, I did get it one time.
Right.
I got it right. So.
And that's the thing, too. A broken clock is even right twice a day.
Twice a day. Yes, that's
so
true.
It's not always or never, and that's unfortunate when people use those escalating words.
So as far as things that we want to be mindful of, and this is going to be, we have 4 characteristics or traits of relationships that can lead to distress and possibly divorce. And that first thing we've discussed is escalation. Okay.
Well, and we don't like to talk about divorce. However, it is a part of life. But many times individuals divorce in their head before they actually go through the paperwork. So part of the distress is separating and divorcing from that person in your head before even talking to them about it or, making it final.
That's true. There is often an emotional disconnection or emotional divorce before the physical divorce comes. So our goal is to assist you all in avoiding both of those things. So that's definitely the case. But we want to keep these things out of our relationships so that we don't have to go down that road.
So that's it on escalation. We're going to close this video.
That's it. So we are going to ask you to stay tuned to the next part of this series as we're going to get into the remaining 3 characteristics of relationships that predict distress. As always, we ask that you would like, share, and subscribe. Go down in the comment section. Tell us if you thought about escalation in your relationship? Have you dealt with escalation, or did this make you think that, man, sometimes I'm guilty of escalation? Because I mean, as we go through this list, I'm going to share some things that I've been guilty of. I'm not guilty necessarily of escalation, but there have been some things I have been guilty of, so I'll make sure to disclose those as well.
Yeah, we always do that. We'll share what we're guilty of. I don't think I've been guilty of escalation. In fact, I don't remember. I think this is one thing that we tried to put a handle on at the very beginning of our marriage.
Yeah, but I will be, I'm guilty of a couple of them coming up, so I'll make sure to share those. So, all right, so thank you all so much. Once again, that's my beautiful wife, Adinah. I am Nick. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching and liking, and we will see you all again in the future. Have a great day.
Thank you.